think about your CEO. Think about them.
Yeah.
We need to make the case for them that while, yes, AI can do a lot, that doesn't mean you don't need me.
Everyone's asking the same question right now. Will AI take our jobs? But what if I told you that is the wrong question to be asking? The real question is, can AI do your job well enough that companies decide you're no longer needed? And if the answer is yes, what does that mean for your future in tech? Today, I'm joined again by Daniel Lowrie. You probably know him from his work with IT Pro TV and his work in cybersecurity. And we're diving deep into the hard truth about AI, jobs, and the future of our careers. Is AI just another tool we'll adapt to, or are we staring down the end of entire career paths? Stick around because this conversation you don't want to miss. Welcome to the show again, Daniel. It's great to have you.
I do what I can. Thanks for having me on, Dakota. This is so much fun to do. I enjoy hanging out with you. So thank you again.
Absolutely. I was just actually on your channel. We were talking about a recording we did and just a couple of weeks ago, and it was so much fun. I really enjoy having these conversations. And for those who maybe aren't so familiar with you, do you mind taking like a few seconds, who you are, what you do? If you just released a course recently, talk about that.
Yeah, absolutely. Daniel Lowrie here. I have, like you said, I worked for IT Pro TV for a while. I used to be a systems administrator back in the day, so I had my hands in the guts of things. I actually did a little network admin as well. But after a while, did that IT Pro TV thing, was the security SME for them. I taught a lot of different courses for that brand, specifically in the pen testing, web app, pen testing, IoT, hardware. Oh, you name it, right? Just getting into that whole thing. If offensive security was kind of your thing, that was my thing as well. And that's what I did. Not that I didn't dabble on the blue team side. I also offered that stuff as well. But that's what I did that for 10 years. So I got really good at it. It was a lot of fun. I enjoy it. And speaking of, like you said, I got so good at it and I enjoyed it so much that I've recently released a Pentest Plus course. So if you've never heard of the CompTIA Pentest Plus, you're like, you know what? Maybe some of that pen testing thing is right for me. And that's the life I want to live. And you're looking to get into it. I always found that Pentest Plus, kind of like their Security Plus and other offerings, are really good foundational skills and knowledge. So I started there. I made that course recently. I've got it on the Simply Cyber Academy right now. It's called Complete Pentest Plus. We have 84 episodes in that thing. It's almost 25 hours long. You get all my personal notes for every episode.
Wow.
Yeah, resources, you name it. It's in there. I do my level best. And you know what we do? I hate all boring training. I hate that stuff where you're just sitting there going, hold on, what did he say? I tuned out, right? That's not me. We have fun. It's kind of like what we're doing right now. Hopefully keep you engaged and get you learning the things that you need to learn so that you can go either past the cert or just gain some skills for your job or to move up that ladder.
That's awesome. And everything you do for this, community is just amazing. I really appreciate, all the effort you put in.
Yeah.
Trying to help people
Absolutely.
out.
I mean, that's why I started the whole Cybercast IRL and the Cybercast After Dark stuff, was because it's like, I just enjoy engaging with the community. And there's a lot of people that are constantly coming in. They're new. They don't know stuff. And then you start building a community of people that start to support those noobs. And then the noobs become people that know stuff that start to support those noobs. You see how this works, I think.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Thanks, noob. This guy gets it.
As I was talking in the intro here, a lot of people are coming to me asking the same thing. And I see it in the comments a lot more lately. Will AI be taking our jobs? We were talking a little bit beforehand. And one thing you pointed out, and actually the last time we were talking, is that might be the wrong question people are asking. So let's start right there. What is the question we all should be asking when it comes to AI and the tech industry?
Yeah, right. Like everybody's just kind of asking I find that to be the brute force question, right? Because it's most impactful to us immediately to think AI is going to come in and it can do a lot of the things that I do. It's just going to take my job. Okay, I get where your head's at. We probably all thought that thought and contemplated it to some extent or another. But really what you got to start asking yourself is, well, I'm a skilled person, hopefully, right? You're adept at learning technology and staying on top of that stuff. What you need to be asking yourself is, why would my CEO, why would my CIO, why would my CTO, why would my CISO, my manager, whatever the case is, why wouldn't they start using AI? if they can automate a ton of stuff and they don't have to pay them they have a one-time purchase, which is their access to that AI, right? And then it stays up 24 hours a day, 365 just about. Doesn't cost them any benefits. They don't take weekends. They don't get sick. They do a lot of stuff. So the question then becomes is why wouldn't somebody in charge of an organization start to automate and use AI for everything that they possibly could? That's a great question. And that's the question we need to, I'm glad you brought that up. That is the question we need to start asking ourselves. Because if you were in that position, if you ran the company and the bottom line was the bottom line, and that was the thing that was most important to you, why wouldn't you do that?
Right. Hey, I want to take a quick moment here and talk about something that might really resonate with a lot of you watching, especially if you're feeling stuck trying to break into tech. You know, you've probably seen a lot of boot camps being thrown around everywhere lately, and let's be honest, most of them overpromise and underdeliver. But careerists caught my attention because they're doing things actually differently, and I've seen the results firsthand. They focus on helping everyday people with no prior experience in tech, land real jobs. Not in 12 months, not after some expensive degree, but often in just a few months. One of their most popular tracks is software QA engineering, and they're super transparent about how it all works. They offer real world experience, including even internships, and you don't have to go through it alone. You're paired with a mentor, someone who's already working in the field to help guide you through the process from learning the skills to prepping for interviews. That's what really stood out to me. Their structure, their accountability, and the support you get. I actually interviewed someone who went through the careers program, and hearing his story reminded me how powerful it can be just to have a clear, guided path.
You can change. Like I thought 30 was old. I thought I couldn't change. I couldn't go back to school. It's not true. Don't waste the rest of your life thinking that like you can only stay in one career. And that is not true at all. The way that they have these, different courses and careers and, all the different boot camps set up, like it is possible to change your life now.
Especially if you're trying to figure everything out on your own. Jumping from YouTube videos to forums, it just gets you nowhere. If you're watching this wondering, could I actually do this? Could I go through with a boot camp? Maybe now's the time to find out. I'll leave the link down in the description. If nothing else, take a look. It could be the thing that actually changes everything for you. Again, I want to say thank you to Careers for sponsoring this episode. And with that, let's get back to this week's podcast. The question you're saying is, can AI replace our job? Should it be replacing our jobs? Is the question the managers are asking. Okay, where are we seeing this actually already happen?
So we definitely have seen an influx of AI coming in to supplement. I mean, Meta laid off 30% of their code. They're saying that Meta, it will have 30% of its code base will be AI created code, right? They've blanket statement that I almost said the word buying. They're making it very attractive for people from OpenAI to come over to Meta with $100 million signing bonus and $100 million yearly salary. I think they grabbed about 10 of those people from that organization because they were offering them free lottery tickets that were a guaranteed win.
Yeah.
That's hard to say no to, right?
Now, have you started to see AI start replacing people? Like, are there certain roles in IT and cybersecurity that are more risk to getting reduced than others?
So any task that is very repetitive, like we've always automated things, right? We write a script, it does the thing.
Yeah.
And that's where people go, well, okay, yeah, this is AI thing is kind of like that, right? Where once we came up with the ability to automate those repetitive tasks, that will be, I'm not getting my job replaced. It just becomes a part of my role. And this is the common wisdom that we hear, right? And if you think about it, it's like, okay, yeah, that makes sense, right? If I just learn scripting or a programming language, my job doesn't get replaced. So if we just instead take out the idea of scripting or programming and we introduce AI, it's the same story, different chapter, right? Absolutely. But then you look at things like Meta, right? Meta's code base will be at least 30% created by AI. And what did they do? They said, hey, all you coders, it's been fun, but we're going to need you to here's a banker's box. Just go ahead and put those things in. So we have seen that. We've seen it with Microsoft. We've seen it across the tech space, especially with the big dogs, right? That they had a lot of layoffs recently and have continued to kind of go that way. Now, it looks like it's stymieing a bit. Thank goodness. We love that. We hate to see the tech contraction, but we still have a lot of people that are, highly skilled out there looking to get jobs that people that are just getting into that space are competing for. And that makes it really difficult. We've been through this before. We've seen this happen. It's not the first time. Probably won't be the last.
Right.
Those people will end up finding jobs. And then the people that are like, okay, no, I'm still here. I didn't go off and, become a medical transcriptionist or something like that. By the way, AI can do that too. Right? Like,
yeah.
Right. It's not just tech, by the way. Okay. So I watch a lot of CEOs because I want to get into the head of a CEO. They're the ones making the decisions because I've directly been affected by CEOs that thought AI is the future. This guy, he's old and busted. AI's where it's at. Why would I pay him a large salary, benefits, so on and so forth, have to give him sick days and all the things that come along with an employee traditionally and give them all those things when I can just get AI to do it? And we'll get to, right, whether or not that's a good thing or a bad thing. We'll jump that, I'm sure. But let's just talk about the idea that it did cross my CEO's mind, and I think that they did make the decision to go, I think it's willing to roll in the dice here. Let's do that. I think that this is worth giving a shot. So they did, right? Yeah. And we've seen that a lot. Like I said, I'll watch a lot of CEOs. I watched this one CEO, Danny something or other. He says that he calls people into a meeting, and he goes, how many of you use ChatGPT to run the meeting bullet points to get prepared for this meeting? He goes, if anybody doesn't raise their hand, I send them back to their desk and say, don't let it happen again. That he expects them to be using AI. And he was a software developer by trade. I wish I could remember his last name. That was his thing. That's what he did. He goes, but now we're in this world where AI is like where now everyone's a developer.
Yeah.
Because it speaks English. I don't have to know coding. I can just go AI. That doesn't mean it's good. And to a CEO's point, how do most of them know? How do they know it's not good? How do they know it's not secure? It does the thing I've heard throughout my career, done is better than perfect. And sometimes, in some instances, that's true.
And that's true.
Right? We'll come back later.
I mean, I'm guilty. I will admit I've drank the AI Kool-Aid. It's funny. I was laying in bed last night having a voice conversation with ChatGPT, talking to it how I want to come up with this scripting automation for my IT Career Accelerator community. And I was having just a spoken word conversation, like brainstorming ideas with it. So it is definitely here. Now, I don't want to start off this episode all doom and gloom, like, hey, if you want to get into tech, the boat has sailed. You know what I mean? Like too late. Go find something else. So,
yeah. You got to lay the foundation of like what's going on so that we can, because if you're coming into the game right now, if you just parachuted in, you're like, yeah, that's a good question. I was thinking about getting into tech. And I heard this AI thing's kind of a disruptor. And you're like, okay. We have to lay that foundation down to say, here's where it is. There's plenty. There were a lot of layoffs within the last 5 years.
Yeah.
People at very high levels with a lot of experience. And we've got a lot of people that were coming into the business. This is just, again, laying the foundations. This is the brute facts of it, that were coming in because they saw good salaries, a job that was fulfilling to people. They seem to enjoy the work quite a bit. So why wouldn't I want to do that? Seems interesting. So you've got this perfect storm, and then AI drops, and we're like, okay. I see what's going on. Should I be worried? And that's where my thought went. Think about your CEO. Think about them. Okay. And then that's where we should be at this point in time. Yeah. We need to make the case for them that while, yes, AI can do a lot, that doesn't mean you don't need me.
Yeah.
That's where we're at.
The tech industry is no stranger to these big disruptors. I can think back just a few years ago, cloud was a pretty big disruptor once it started hitting mainstream, becoming that buzzword. We kind of saw this shift back in that day, maybe not quite as scary. I think, that definitely was a thing. People lost jobs because of cloud computing. So the industry is no scared of this, and we've learned to adapt through the years. Now, when someone says cloud, they realize that's probably more jobs than the jobs it took away nowadays. But for the people that are like on the cusp of trying to break in, they're trying to land that first job, or they're trying to level up out of that, job that might get eliminated. What do they need to be focusing on right now? What are should they be skilling up? Should they be learning new skills? Should they be, trying to figure out what jobs are here to stay? Like, what should they be doing?
So what they should be doing right now is, well, hey, you got to think about how you focus. It's a really interesting, you mentioned how, cloud came in and did this. And, we kind of went down that road as far as like, it's not the first disruptor, even in just the world in general, right? A lot of people will mention how when cars got invented, it completely changed an entire industry. People lost all their work.
The telephone.
Right. Telephones, similar thing. Now, AI is unique in its scope and scale and speed. That's what has made this so scary. Because like you said, like everybody uses AI. What we all need to be thinking about is, if I'm doing something that now AI can do, how can I now use AI to do that and do more? Yeah. Right now, I make that the base level, right? Because where before if you wanted to be a developer and go make $150K really quickly, okay, you did 3 or 4 years in college, or you took a code camp or whatever. You learned to be a full stack dev. In a few years, you were probably in a 6-figure salary at that point in time. That did happen. And now it's like, well, AI can do a lot of that. So it's like, dang, I pushed all my chips in on being a developer. Cool. How do you now incorporate AI into that? Because just because they can write the code, your CEOs out there, they don't necessarily know that code might not be awesome.
Right.
Nor might they care. You have to let them know why that's important. So you have to become an expert on what AI can offer your CEOs and why you are still important in that equation, and how you can utilize that to be someone that can assuage all their fears. Like, listen, yes, you are right to think AI is something we need to do. Absolutely. This is where we're going. It is the future. It is the now. Here's why you need me to help you do it, because it doesn't know how. You tell it to draw a hand, it gives you 16 fingers, and they're all going in the wrong direction, right? It knows what a finger is, knows what a hand is. Right now, obviously, it's gotten better than that, and it continues to get better. But right now, it doesn't understand a lot. I mean, how many of us have gone to ChatGPT and went, I need you to create an image that's this, or I need you to give me an outline of that, and it kind of gets it right, and you go, oh, that's almost okay. Let me prompt you a little more, and you prompt it, and it gets it wrong again, but in a weird way. Yep. And you go, no, I mean this. And then it gets it wrong worse again. And it just like starts nosediving on what it's producing.
Yep.
This is what the CEO doesn't realize.
And then eventually you get so pissed off, you punch your monitor, have to buy a new monitor.
Yep. So like new chat.
Yeah, exactly. No, but that is true. And I feel that to the uneducated that are just trying to blindly use AI, it can cause so many more headaches than the ones it's solving. That's, I feel like, the state we're at least for the next several years.
Right.
As someone who has used AI to help them do coding and stuff like that, and then I've handed the code to someone who actually knows what they're doing, and they looked at it and they're like, who on earth wrote this? I'm like, oh, Bob over there in the corner, because it's definitely not security first most of the time.
No.
Unless you're very good at prompting it, but still, it is still learning. It is only as good as the training data it was trained on.
That's right.
And depending on what AI and what language model you're working with, it could be just trained with just garbage out there. I mean, let's be honest, like 80% of the internet is just garbage out there. But the CEOs might not necessarily know that. They might not see that. And then it's that whole thing like you're talking about. Yes, the industry is, I think, evolving, and definitely, it is time to be prepared. But, I think a lot of people kind of get in their head about this, about how the AI overlords are just going to take over and the tech industry is going to be dead. I mean, do you agree?
Well, I mean, there's two definite camps out there, right, that are definitive. Mm-hmm. Some that is going to be like, we are about to live in We are literally moving toward utopia. That we're going to live in the oasis of Ready Player One. You're just going to be in a haptic suit all day, enjoying the AI generated world, and you'll get a UBI, which is Universal Basic Income, and enjoy. You just go do stuff. Figure you now have the ability to just take your hands off of the wheel and worrying about where you're going to live and how you're going to feed your family. The world economic system will have no choice but to come in, utilize AI to figure that out, because it all hinges on like super intelligence, right? So we'll let me finish my thought and we'll talk about super intelligence. So it's either going to be this utopia or it's the doom and gloom. It's going to be like, okay, we've reached super intelligence and you are no longer a necessary item. You're a useless eater.
From fairly reasonable to maniacal overlord.
And that's the dark place that it kind of can go. And there have been experts on both sides that have made arguments pro and con for both of those things, right? So it's a really interesting conversation. The real answer to that question right now is we don't know, right? We have no idea. We're making predictions. You have to be informed. You have to get out there and start reading the literature. Don't just watch a podcast like what we're talking about. I'm not an AI expert. You're not an AI expert, but it impacts us in our field. So we're talking about it. If you're in a different field or you're talking with family members, you need to have this conversation with them to say, how is AI affecting you and what you do and how you live? And what do you think about? What do you think the future is? Because we need to get our minds on this and start to be informed people. And I think that's the problem. A lot of people have either, like, I like AI. I use AI all the time, every day. If you get good at you working with it, it's a really useful tool right now.
Absolutely.
Right. And it will only get better. Only get better. It's when we hit super intelligence that becomes the problem, or the crossroads. Let me put it that way. That's where it becomes the crossroads, where it could go into utopia or dystopia. And we just don't seem to know yet. And that's where we're at.
Absolutely. It is definitely scary to start thinking about it when you go dive deep into this. Now, one thing I've been recommending to people who come to me, they're asking for career advice on how to break in or be successful in this kind of AI infused era is, in all honesty, you can continue down your same path. You can still go out and get your certifications that you would normally get. But on the same hand, understand how AI is going to impact those jobs you're going into and try to kind of hedge yourself where, yes, you might go get the Pen Test Plus, what a great certification. And then you also might get an AI certification that's based in cybersecurity. So you kind of become that. It's really, you kind of stand out from the crowd. If everyone just has the Pen Test Plus, but you also have these AI skills, now all of a sudden you give that employer a reason why you need to be there. I mean, that's the way I'm seeing it.
Yes, right now, that is exactly the right game plan for anybody that's listening at this point in time. What you should be doing is looking at how you can incorporate as much AI and automation and understanding of this technology and be someone that can at least go, well, I know a bit about that, right? You'd be able to raise your hand and say, I know a bit about that. And someone will go, cool, because that is going to be the separator. Listen, this job is a consuming fire, right? You cannot rest your head. You must constantly be going back to the woodshed, learning new things, constantly evolve. Because if you don't, you're done. You're cooked. It's over. I'm sorry. It's so difficult to jump back in the game if you take too long of a rest. That's where it's at. And you got to be putting new stuff on your plate all the time, working like a mad person. And whether that's good or bad, that's not for this podcast to say. That's for a different conversation. We're talking about how AI can make you stand out from the crowd and say, hey, not only have I been working on security, but did you know if you're vibe coding your website that it's probably not being done security first because the AI doesn't care about security. You have to tell it to care about security. And then you have to tell it you will not behave in a way that is not secure. And then you have to verify that it did behave in a way that's not, or that it didn't behave in a way that's not secure. Follow my own logic, right? And so you still, there we go again, right? That goes right back to you still need me because you don't do that. It's not your job. Your job is to run the business and make sure you got a product. And when you put it out there, people are going to enjoy the experience and pay for it. And our job is to make sure that they never have a bad experience because their PII got breached, or there was a denial of service attack, or we did something that DOSed ourselves, and now people can't log in, they're upset, and blah, blah, blah. Our job is to make sure the AI is doing what we think it should be doing. And it goes right back to Dakota's cloud inference. When we moved into cloud, it was like, are you sure this is going to be okay? Like, can people, it's like, nope, everything's working. We're good. Just because we don't have physical access to the thing, there's somebody on site that does. Yeah. It's just not us anymore. We've transferred that risk. And I guess it does kind of come back to risk now that you kind of think about it, that we have accepted that AI is a risk we're going to take. And it's a big one, right? Because those crossroads we talked about earlier could get fun. But right now, again, it's just that next modern tool. It's really fast. It's really useful. And it's up to us to make sure that we're staying on top of that so that we can prove that this is not the savior come down from heaven. It can do a lot, but you still need me, right? So that's what you got to do. You got to prove that every day. If you're not getting those skills, you're going to get left behind.
That is a very valid point. The skills got to come from somewhere. And, there's constant innovation that has to happen. And, we don't know what we don't know, about the future. So, now is the perfect time, I think, to even double down and start, now's the time. It's better than ever because, jobs are going away. I don't think there's any beating around that bush. The jobs are going to go away. But in that vacuum, other jobs are going to be created, I feel like. Right. And there might be even more because, again, you got to have those checks and balance systems, out there to help ensure that what AI is telling you is actually legit. Because like you mentioned earlier, AI loves to hallucinate and take you down the totally wrong rabbit hole. And so
I feel like that commercial where you instead of get Batman, you get Bateman. He's like, any last words? He's like, yeah, it's a long one. Hallucination. Right? It's like, there's your AI commercial. It's like, right, it does stuff well, but that doesn't mean it's a perfect system at this point in time. We ain't there yet. We're better or for worse, we're trying to get there.
Yeah.
But right now, that's not the case. And the cool thing is, if you think about it, like we talked about people years of experience. They've got a lot of knowledge and understanding on certain things, but they might not be checked out on AI right now. So it's a level playing field with anybody that's having to incorporate AI into their skill sets because it's still so new. They can't have 15 years of experience over you with it because that doesn't exist unless they've legit been like an ML engineer,
right.
That kind of stuff where they've literally been building the machine learning AI systems from scratch for the last 15 years. And those are very few and far between, and they probably are already making very good money. You don't have to compete with them.
And that's another thing to think of or another way to think about this is AI has just created a new sector within tech. Like,
right.
That's a whole nother job opportunity. You used to have, networking and cybersecurity, cloud, whatever. Now you got AI. You could just go straight into supporting AI and it's what it's doing and learning everything that involved around that. That's a whole nother career path. It literally is opening up just to kind of prove a point there. Now, let's kind of flip this around, looking down the road 5 years from now. And let's see from what advice do you have like for us to be like targeting, what is that end goal? It used to be like, we target a certain like career trend, like pen testing and something like that. Should we continue down that path and just add these supplemental skills, or should we maybe start shifting our focus and maybe not focus on the traditional jobs anymore and try to focus more lean AI heavy?
Yeah, I would say right now, if you really like, if the reason you're looking at cybersecurity per se, because that's where I like to live. If you're looking at cybersecurity because you're like, nice pay, I like that. Like that's number one. And there's nothing wrong with wanting a good salary.
Yeah.
I do not fault anyone for going, man, I'm going to really be able to provide and maybe even have a nice thing or two because of the salary that I might be able to get if I go down this road. I'm not one of those people that's like, if you're not absolutely passionate about it, you should get out of the field because you're just taking up space for someone that is. It's like, maybe you're adept at it. Maybe you're actually pretty good at it. You've got some skills and you have the ability to learn those skills really well. I mean, a skilled worker is a skilled worker, whether they're passionate about that job or not. And I've constantly gotten some flack for that hot take, and that's fine. I don't care. But if that is you, if you're looking at it and going, yeah, cybersecurity is not really that right now, just in and of itself. AI is. So if you're just looking for good money and hot jobs, yeah, you better go get on the AI train right now. Get your ticket punched, because that right there is going to be able to do that for you. And if you've got the ability to gain those skills quickly, you're going to be one of the first people at that resume or at that interview going, oh, yep, I know all those things. I'm good to go. And they're going to go, sweet, this was easy because you had those skills. Now, if you are I'm cybersecurity passionate person and I believe in cybersecurity, I love it, but I see the AI as something that I cannot turn away from. It's not like it's going somewhere. I need to be able to incorporate it into there. You've got a bigger job, right? Because now you got to learn cyber and AI. Sorry, it is what it is. But if you're a creative person, you have a sharp mind, you should be able to go, okay, how can I get creative with this? How can I use my cybersecurity knowledge and marry that to the AI stuff that they're going to be using and get that in front of somebody? Because that's going to make you stand out from the crowd. That's going to be like, not only can I, because I'll tell you what, I recently realized that a lot of what people are not learning is some of the most important things about a job for a pen tester or a SOC analyst or whatever. And that all comes back down to the business. It's all about driving business and their business strategies. Your job in technology or security or AI or anything that you do, you could be in finance, you could be in marketing. It does not matter what you do. If someone cuts a check to you and it says, ABC Incorporated or whatever the companies you work for, they hired you to make their business go. Yeah. And everything you do and everything they want you to do is going to be focused on making that business go. So if you're a cybersecurity person, you go, how can I mitigate risk to this business? That's your job. That is the job. If you think it's putting hands on keyboards, wrong-o. That's not it. That's just how you keep the business strategy moving and how you get the business moving forward and doing the things they want to do. How can we reduce the risk so that bad things don't happen and stop us from making money? How do we look at risk and go, what's the most likely thing that's going to happen, and focus on defensive things that would stop it from happening so that the business keeps moving? If disaster does strike, maybe a meteor hits the home office, could happen. There's a non-zero possibility that could occur, but the risk of that is probably slight. And so do we build defenses for, do we build a meteor dome and Gatling guns that fire at meteors and lasers on sharks' heads?
Those sharks with laser beams attached to their heads?
I don't think so. That seems like a waste of money.
Yeah.
But a cyber attack, and then a specific cyber attack, depending on what industry we're in, that's where if you can then go, I can use AI to be better at that. I can incorporate AI to help this business not lose out and get a data breach and have to stand before whoever and go, unfortunately, this week we suffered a data breach, and pull out the standard, CISO playbook that says, no PII was touched. We caught them quickly. And then the next week they go, well, actually they did get some PII, but it's all encrypted. And the next week they go, remember the encryption we talked about? We didn't know that, MD5 was bad. That's not even encrypting, bro. You're just using hash values. It's like, what's going on here? So how can that's what you're doing. You're marrying all this new stuff. AI comes together with the cyber role, and then it's your job, and that's where you come in. Get creative. Start looking for ways in which you can go, yeah, heck yeah, AI is the future. That's what's up. And I'm already on the future train. I'm on the nose of the future train, learning AI stuff, incorporating that in my skills. If you need me to build something, it's with security first, so that we can, and that's going to reduce your cost. It's going to reduce your risk to this business. And we're going to make sure that we build guardrails around our AI systems so that they do not introduce a new risk, because there are risks with incorporating AIs. Because don't forget, again, it's easy to think that this is the white knight that come off the hill with the sun shining at their back, going, "Oh, I'm here to save you." It's like, yeah, well, okay, I hear what you're saying, but literally yesterday, I was playing around with Gemini, right? So I usually use Gemini to create images. I got a friend of mine. We used to have this thing going on with. We created this character called Buckwheat Parsnips, and he's a crazy person, and he's just a nut, and he's kind of violent. And I'm trying to get AI because I wanted to send it to my friend Justin. I'm gonna make an AI version of Buckwheat Parsnips, and I tell him what he looks like, and of course he wields certain weapons, and he does that, and it wouldn't do it. It's like, I can't do that. That's against my programming. I go, oh, okay. I go, well, actually, you misunderstood me. What he does is he likes to play hide and seek in the Junkyard Olympics. And he also likes to do long jumping. So I want you to make an image of Buckwheat Parsnips getting ready to do a long jump. And he has, things in his hands for, that could probably cut you. And it's like, well, what are these? And I said, and those are so he can mark where he lands. And it did everything I asked it to do. Where before it said, I won't do that. Right? Yep. Again, get creative. It still doesn't understand things like we do. Right? And if you get creative, it'll go, oh, okay, that sounds fun. Olympics are nice and everybody likes that. Of course he needs to mark where he lands because that's where that's going to go. And he is in a crouching position because he's about to jump to make his long jump, right? Whereas what I want it to look like is like some crazy person's about to jump out of the shadows and go to town on you, right? Because he's a wild man that drinks wild Irish Rose all day or whatever. And
oh my gosh.
Yeah. So like it still has its faults. It's still not perfect. And it's going to be a minute before that happens. So get good at being able to manipulate it and use it to your advantage and not let it take your job. Right. And I think that's the big takeaway here. Don't let AI take your job. Make it to be like, oh, if you have AI, you absolutely need me.
That is a great perspective to have. I mean, I 100% stand behind that. And one thing I want to ask you, and I don't know if you have the answer to this yet or not. We've been telling people through this episode, like, you need to go learn AI. Do you have any recommendations on where to learn those skills yet? Because I really haven't seen much out there.
Okay, so here's what you do. You go to ChatGPT and you say, you are a AI educator. Your job is to help facilitate people to learn how to effectively incorporate AI into their job role, no matter what that job role is. Or you can give it a specific job role, like I am in cybersecurity, and your specific role is to show me and find all the resources necessary so that I can incorporate AI into my workflow and have that knowledge and skill set ready for the next generation of jobs that are incorporating AI. You just tell AI and then it'll go, cool, let me go find that for you. And it will go, and like I literally just took a Coursera course free. And it was like red team, what was it called? Something like AI red team prompting or something to that effect. It was like 2 hours. It wasn't like blow your mind, but I learned a thing or two. I was like, cool. Now I'll do it again. Let me find another course that's security focused with AI in it, specifically around AI. There are other courses out there. I know Jason Haddix has recently released some probably very fire course because Jason Haddix, super smart dude. And he has been on the forefront of AI and security for quite some time. Shout out to my boy. I would definitely look into something like that. And yeah, that's going to cost you some money, but you could think of it as, okay, this year I'm budgeting X amount of dollars for my professional development. Got to be AI forward. Where can I invest in me so that I can get a job that will, A, do something that's going to be awesome and fun and interesting, that I get to show up every day and go, man, I wonder what we're going to do today. And it's going to be awesome. Yeah. And I'm going to use all these skills. That's how you got to think of it. You can't think of it. I'm really into, bladed things. I'm a knife collector. Let me just throw it out there. I'm a knife collector. I like knives. And there are some expensive knives out there. Let me just throw it out there. You think, and if you think like $100, $200, I'm like, nah, bro. Nah. There are knives out there.
You need some more zeros on that.
Yeah, like look up a Todd Bed Bodega and look up, even Sabenzas. Like, they're like $400 or $500, $600. You get up into thousands. But a lot of people will say, you're right. It's expensive and the law of diminishing returns, but buy once, cry once, right? Yeah. It pays off in the end is the point. it is worth the investment. Once you get it in your hands and you're like, oh man, this is sweet. Once you get that knowledge in your head and people are like, oh, you set that. Okay, look at you. You've got this on here. It doesn't matter that they're free. It doesn't matter if they're low cost. It just proves that you're out there swinging. You're out there doing everything you can to be the person that is right for their organization. And if you talk the right talk and you walk the right walk, if it quacks like a duck and it walks like a duck and it swims like a duck, they're going to think you're a duck. And they're going to go, well, we were actually looking for a duck. Why don't you go ahead and come on with us? It's going to be amazing. You're exactly what we're looking for. Other people aren't doing that because they're doing like Dakota, who's like, oh, I don't see a lot. Get your butt out there and find it under every rock, nook, and cranny. Find it, do it, get it on your resume, and now you're the only one that's got it because you did the hard work to find it.
That is so true about this industry, and it's something I've kind of lived by, I think, from day one. I mean, I don't want to tell my whole story again, but I didn't have any experience when I entered the field. And nor did I actually even have the money to go get like certifications and stuff. So I self-taught myself. I went to YouTube. It's something I still do daily. Like I mentioned last night, I was using AI to brainstorm ideas. I use AI daily for just different projects to learn skills I didn't have before. We talked about last time I was on, you had you on the channel, that I developed an app this year. I developed an Android app and I'm developing an iOS app as we speak. And I taught myself by using AI. I'm not an app developer, but I'm learning these skills because I'm using the resources that are out there available. And I think that should be a big takeaway people should take away from this video is AI is a resource. You got to fact check it sometime, but it makes it so much easier to obtain this knowledge and to make yourself stand out. Use that tool. Don't be scared of it. Like jump in both feet and like just be a sponge. And I really think the people who have the drive, who want to find this information, who are turning over every rock out there to try to find this information, now is the time you're going to excel like crazy in this industry. And the people that are like, ooh, no, ew, AI, ew, they're going to get left behind. I mean, there's no nice way to put that.
Yeah. You can't sleep on these skills. And it doesn't matter whether you like it or you think it's the big devil that's going to come and be that dystopian future at those crossroads when super intelligence occurs, if it ever does. You've got to be ready for it, because if that's going to happen, there's nothing you can do about it, right?
Right.
It's going to happen or it's not going to happen. You have to prepare for what and trust me, I'm preaching to Daniel right now. I'm a bit of a cynic. I'm a bit of the kind of person that goes, oh man, if it can go wrong, it will. That's how things go, right? Murphy, he's a son of a gun and ain't nobody likes him. If I ever catch him in a room, he's going to wish he hadn't. Murphy's Law is going to catch Murphy if Daniel ever finds himself in a room with him, right? I don't care. Just take me to jail. Yep, Murphy got done toted a butt whipping. But you've just got to go, since there's nothing I can do, whether or not they reach superintelligence and, the world changes, paradigm shift in ways that I will not be prepared for. It doesn't matter. All you can do is go, here's what is most likely going to happen. Again, what are we doing? We're risk assessing. We're doing exactly what we should be doing for our clients and our companies as security people, as IT people, as marketers, or whatever it is you do. That if you found yourself listening to this podcast and going, how does my role affect this business? How can I incorporate the best and the brightest tools that are out there, which right now that is AI, and make that a part of what I do so that I'm so valuable they'll never even think about getting rid of me or letting me go. Or if I'm unemployed, I'm now super employable because I'm doing something nobody else is doing. I am pushing the envelope when it comes to being on the bleeding edge of technology. A lot of people tell you I remember back when I started, being on the bleeding edge was like, I don't know if you want to do that. There's a lot of risk being on the bleeding edge. This is the one thing that I would say, I don't think that there is much of the risk is not being on the bleeding edge of this technology, in my estimation.
100%. I think you just have to go out there. You have to educate yourself. You have to adapt, learn, and prepare for this great future. And, for those of you who have made it this far in the video or the listening on audio, I'm curious, like, what is your plan? What are you going out there and doing today to prepare yourself? Let me know down in the comments below. I'd love to hear your guys' feedback. Are you the person that's just sitting in the corner sulking like, oh, tech's done for? Or are you getting out there? Are you learning the tools? Are you grasping the bull by the horns and ready for this? Like, and if so, how are you doing it? Let me know. I'm curious. So
Yeah, don't put the future on read.
exactly. I really appreciate you coming on the channel. Every time you come on, it is such a blast. And you know, you do so much great stuff in the community. If people want to go find you, where can they find you?
Oh, absolutely. Well, the best place to find me is one of two places. Well, now I'm working on a third. Definitely my YouTube channel, right? I get comments all the time like, how do you only have so many? Like, I have very few subs for somebody that, you know, in this space, and like everybody kind of knows who I am, but I don't have a ton of subs on my YouTube, but that's no big deal. I do that because it's fun. I do it because it's cool to see people find it and enjoy what it is we're doing there. So I've got Cybercast IRL, which is a it's an AMA style kind of thing that I do a live stream every Friday at 10 a.m. So almost every Friday on 10 a.m., unless something jumps in the way, we're doing Cybercast IRL. I also do Cybercast After Dark, which is at 9 p.m. These are at Eastern time, where I usually have a guest, kind of like what we're doing right here. We just talk about industry stuff, what's going on, maybe some really interesting hot takes on things, try to pick a lane on that kind of stuff, kind of like what you're doing here. This is a lot of fun. These types of podcasts, in my estimation, are very useful for a lot of people. So I love what you do. I love this podcast. I'm also very active on LinkedIn. So if you want to connect with me on LinkedIn or just follow me on LinkedIn, by all means, please do. I try to get to everyone that sends me a DM. Might not be immediate. Just going to throw that out there.
I hear you there.
I do try to get to you. Like we said, I released Pentest Plus, the complete Pentest Plus is what it's called. And that's with the Simply Cyber Academy. Go check that out. Got a lot of great resources with that as well. Fun stuff. Hope you enjoyed. If you do buy it, thank you. And working on doing some more on Instagram, actually. My wife is like, you're sleeping on Instagram. You got to be on Instagram. I'm like, okay. So she's kind of running it for me and prompting me for things. So I'm her AI and she's prompting me.
Nice.
But that's where I'm at.
That's so cool. I think we've given a lot of great knowledge here. So I'm not going to ask my typical question, you know, what is one thing you want people to take away? I think we've covered that. What is one thing you are looking forward to in the future of AI? I know you've talked some like, you know, the AI taking over, but like, what is one thing that you're looking forward to and you're hoping that AI will become in the future for us?
So what I really hope AI does for us is that it does allow us to do more interesting things, because AI is handling all the stuff that was just grunt work, I guess, for the lack of a better term, things that took a lot of effort and they did take knowledge and skill. But once you had that knowledge and skill, that kind of stuff just kind of became grunt work for you. It was repetitive, it was mundane. It wasn't really fun. I hope that it is able to kind of come in and go, you know what? Let me handle that. You go be creative. You go think of new things and interesting things. And then when that gets mundane, I'll take over that too. And it pushes humanity. That's what I'm hoping it does, is that it pushes us into the next generation of what humanity could be. That will be so cool to kind of like see where it was. And for us, because for our generation, if that's what happens, they're talking about within the next, 10 or 20 years or whatever, that it's going to cure cancer. It's going to do all this interesting stuff that allows us to live longer, have more fulfilled lives. I really hope that is what it is. So be a part of the solution. Figure out how you incorporate that stuff. That's what we should all be doing, is whether it's the boogeyman or not is irrelevant. Get in there, learn how to do it, learn how to work with it, and let it enrich your life as much as it can. Right? So if you can't beat it, at least use it.
Yeah.
For the goodness sake. That's where I'm at. And maybe you're the one that uses AI that comes up with something new and creative that we all go, how did we ever live without this? that is, we have this magic wand in our pocket at this point that is very much on the table for the average everyday person. So start using it and get creative.
That is some great advice, and that's a great take on AI. I really appreciate you coming on. I really hope everyone enjoyed this episode. If you really did enjoy this episode, make sure to hit like, subscribe. And if you want to check out last time Daniel was on the channel and all the amazing stuff we've talked about, check out this next video up here to watch next. I totally butchered that. Oh, well, we'll leave it. This has been such a great time. I really appreciate everyone. Yeah. So guys, go click on this video next. And until next time, keep learning.